Hi, I'm Greg from RVHaulers. We've pulled the GV into the shop. We've cleaned up the floor. Everything is spick and span. The heat's turned on. Let's watch this truck getting transformed into an RV hauler. We're going to be singling the rear end and turning it into a truck capable of pulling our recreational trailers and our horse trailers. You can see the truck is still in its factory condition. It's still a tandem axle out back. We're going to be removing that front or number 2 axle and taking the number 3 axle, the rear axle, and moving it into a mid position on this truck. Ultimately, this truck is going to be getting a smart car loader, so that's the reason that we want to make sure that the truck is well balanced for weight on the front axle as well as on the load on the rear axle. As well, when you look at these trucks, singling a truck short in the first position wouldn't look all that balanced when we've got probably a 12-foot Heron hauler deck out the back. So just to balance the truck for looks, we're going to place that axle in the midpoint between the two. So the first step obviously is to get these fenders off, to get the lights off. We're going to deal with the aluminum decking. And one of the other hints that I have anytime you start a project like this is it sure is nice to start with a clean shop. As well, any of the body parts, especially the fairings that are removable on both the driver's and the passenger side, we're going to want to take those away. Take them away, put them in another corner, put them outside somewhere, make sure that they don't get scratched up. The fenders are coming off now. Mechanic's friend, the torch. Nah, it's all good. Once we get the fenders and a lot of the supporting mechanisms off for the fenders as well as the fifth wheel, you want to make some space for yourself to work around it. So often the drive shaft will come out because the drive shaft right up front allows you to work around the air lines. So drive shaft, the primary drive shaft from the steady bearing back to the sleeper back to the first power divider axle, and then we're going to work on air lines after this. We caged off the brakes on the one side of the truck so that we could rotate the tire and as well rotate the drive shaft around to get to the bolts a little bit easier on the drive shaft to take it out. While Kevin is doing the air lines now that the drive shaft is out, Dean's going to come in for a few minutes. He's going to help get the interaxle differential out as well. So the second interaxle diff is the short one in between the number 2 axle and the number 3. Kevin is still working on airlines, and Dean's now going to take out the rear airbags. After you get the airlines off, next you want to take off all the zip ties along the inside of the frame, pull all the wires away from the frame, because I want to make sure that none of those wires are near the heat when we start to really cut away those huck bolts. We've got all the airbags out of the truck. We continue to work on the wiring, getting that disconnected from the rear end. We've been working front to back, and now we're going to get the shocks off next, and it starts already. We've pulled out that first drive shaft from the steady bearing back to the power divider axle. While you're at it, you always want to pull out the first drive shaft as well. So we want to get both of them out, get them both rebuilt, rebalance them. While you're at it, now's the time to do it. You're going to be taking one to the shop anyways, you might as well take two.
We can see that drive shaft that we removed earlier laying there on the floor. Dean is underneath the truck right now getting the other drive shaft removed from the transmission back to the steady bearing. We're going to take them both for servicing and rebuilding and balancing at the same time.
We're going to need all the deck space we can get, so both those exhaust stacks are going to have to come off as well. Do I look like Princess Leia? Just wait. Yeah, I do. All right. For the suspension to come out, of course, we need to take those torque arms out, both of those two axles. We're going to do that next. Alright, torque arms are out. We're going to be jacking up the frame now so that we're ready to cut off the suspension and drop the axles. We brought our drive shafts over this afternoon to Driveline specialist. This is a place that's going to take our drive shafts apart, inspect them, certainly put you have to accommodate the different yoke size on the back, and be really careful. Be really careful. So whoever you pick to do your drive line repairs, your drive shaft repairs, you probably have this facility. This is a wash bay. They're going to put parts in there and give them a good wash down. It's pretty hot. So those spray nozzles spin around. All right, as I was saying, we brought our drive shafts over here to Driveline specialists, and they're going to be looking at them, rebuilding them to accommodate the new yoke size that's on that primary drive axle. Certainly taking a look at all the U-joints, cleaning them up, painting them, balancing them, so that we can put them back in our RVHauler. So we find the fastest way to get these axles out is to cut the suspension components away from the frame, so cut out or use the gas axe to cut the bolts away from the frame components, but leave the frame components attached to the axles. And we're also, you get to hear us getting ready here, as we go along with the gas axe, we're going to be coming behind it and hammering out the bolts, and eventually we should just see these suspension components drop down, and we should be able to roll the axle out the back of the truck. Let's get started with, there we go. Let's get started with the gas axe and start cutting away all those bolts.